Previously on Next Level Adventures, I documented the first few days aboard our Tao expedition sailing from El Nido to Coron, here in the beautiful Philippines. We boarded the Balatik, which was a traditional Filipino sailing vessel complete with wooden carvings, and as you can see, she's absolutely gorgeous. The first few days consisted of snorkeling, plenty of paradise beaches and islands, and of course world-class sailing across the Palawan Strait. This final part of the expedition takes us to many more dramatic scenes, and I can't wait to share with you the beauty of this part of the Philippines. And stay tuned until the very end for my full and honest review of the entire expedition. Welcome to day 3. This morning we're actually having breakfast on board. We have to leave early because we're still in the El Nido area, but today apparently we need to get going. We need to start going across that Palawan Strait. And this is the coolest thing, right? So you put all your stuff in a dry bag, you have your coffee, you brush your teeth, you have a shower, whatever you need, and then you just swim to the boat. And that's your commute in the morning to get on board. You can take a kayak, okay? If you don't want to swim, they will put you in a kayak and they'll take you over there. But I think it's quite fun that you can just swim over there. Pretty cool, pretty unique. Right, day 3 on board. Let's go. Right then, let's get on board. Oh, it's cold today. Goodbye, Paradise Island. Can you believe it? Look at that. Unbelievable. Okay, we made it. Are you ready for day 3? Yeah? Day 3 was a big day, sailing-wise, and we spent much of it simply navigating the open waters. Banana pancakes. Breakfast was served on board, and as you can see, as usual, it was delicious. Okie dokie. First stop, a beautiful beach. And we just moor up and we have the option to kayak and hang out at the beach or swim. Looks like everybody's left the boat. I've just been snoozing, backing up some footage, relaxing. I don't actually think I'm gonna bother going on the beach. I think I prefer just the breeze and having the boat to myself, pretty much just a few of the crew. It's funny, day 3, this has now become normal. Just turning up at your own private beach on this own private random island. Try to remember, this is not normal. This is incredible. Just pulled up against this absolute beautiful place and we've just had a great lunch. It was absolutely delicious. The food seems to get better as the trip goes, and what was really nice is I jumped in straight away after lunch whilst everybody was still digesting and checked out. Just over there you can see them scuba diving there now, sorry, snorkeling. That's an 85-year-old sunken wreck. It's only shallow, it's only small, but it's been there for so long that, well, I couldn't believe it. I think that was actually one of my favorite ever snorkeling spaces I've ever seen in my life. There was just so many little fish, so many different types of coral, starfish everywhere. And I just had so much fun when I came back to the boat and everybody was kind of like full from the big lunch. I just said, guys, I'm not just saying this, but that was my favorite snorkeling I've ever done. And so everybody was like, really? And a few of them have already come back and said that I was right. And on this island here, you can go visit, there's a local village here and people live here and they fish here. I think we might nip over there and have a little look. look who's back. Let's go. Okay, we're here. Olé! So it turns out Tao have lots of different camps, and this is just one of them. We're not actually staying in this one. We're staying somewhere else this evening. And apparently this is the one that what everybody on my tour was saying was on Instagram, but I didn't even check. But we're not staying here. So I'll show you around, but it's beautiful though. When you think of paradise, this is what you think of, right? Swaying palm trees, white sand, turquoise, blue water, coral reef. Nobody around to annoy you, no music, no one pestering you. Just a little chicken. The only issue is, I think there's a few people who are a little bit upset because I think they thought, because of the marketing and the Instagram, that this expedition that we're on, the multiple day one, the longest one, most expensive one that Tao offer, I think they thought that we were going to stay here because they've shown us this campsite and now they're like, okay, enjoy a couple of hours and then we're going to find our own campsite, because apparently pre-pandemic Tao expeditions had over 12 boats, and you can imagine they need a lot of campsites, and I think this is the shiny one. This is the A-grade campsite. Okay, this is a bittersweet moment. On day 3, we have to say goodbye to Balatik, our trusty wooden sailing boat, because I think actually in the distance we have seen tomorrow's vessel that we're going to be exchanging. And we've just said goodbye to a few of the staff and a few of the crew because they're going to stay on this boat and take the next group back towards El Nido. Oh, goodbye, Balatik. You've been a great vessel. Look at her shining in the sunlight. Gorgeous. Tamarind margarita. Oh, that is so good. We're having a tour, so I better catch up with the group. There's a basketball court. There's a volleyball court.
Head chef is here, and then also you're gonna having dinner tonight here.
This is the massage area. Look at the size of it.
This is foundation. We are partnership with the communities, especially for the women.
Yesterday's camp was really nice, but everybody's freaking out about how good this one is. And the best part is we can enjoy the sunset just before it goes down behind the mountain. This camp is actually Tao Philippines' home for its social enterprise, and they use it as a base of operations to train many of its local staff force. Dinner, as you can see, was extra special, and with the tamarind margaritas on hand, the whole group enjoyed a really fun evening together. Day 4. It was going to be a much needed lazy morning for the group, and breakfast was just perfect. Banana flour burgers with fried eggs and radish dressing. These were amazing, and I think I had 2 or 3, and with local fruits and coffee on tap. Everybody was really happy just to relax for the rest of the morning, because sadly today is the day we have to switch boats. Okie dokie, the time has come after a lovely lazy morning to switch boats. So everything from the wooden boat is going to get transferred onto our new boat, and this is the one that's going to take us all the way across the Palawan Strait towards Coron. It feels sad to leave another beach, another paradise beach, but as this trip is proven, we just seem to go from one paradise to the next, so not too worried. But is it going to be a shame to say goodbye to that beautiful Balatik wooden boat? The new one looks okay. We'll survive. This new boat, even though it wasn't as photogenic as the Balatik, did have much more shade and a lot more space for the group to relax on. Today was all about covering a large open water distance, so the group just got their books out and started to relax because we were going to be crossing the open waters for the whole day. I cannot begin to tell you how good it smells in the kitchen here. Fresh calamari, and then there's a beautiful fish stew boiling away in here. The smell of the galang and the chili, amazing. Okay, so welcome to the third camp that we've stayed in, even though this is our fourth night. This is the third different camp, and this one's a nice one. We've got these traditional Filipino bamboo huts once more, with our own little mat, and then they'll put the mosquito net in there later. And we've got uninterrupted views of these beautiful white sand beaches here. You know, today we did have 2 or 3 activities, but it kind of got cancelled because everywhere we stopped there was just so many jellyfish, and a few people got stung. They're okay, they're fine, but it just meant that we couldn't really snorkel anymore, which was fine. I didn't even feel like getting off the boat. Every day they knock out a big jug of what's in this one today?
It's rum and pineapple.
And they give you like a complimentary glass of rum and pineapple juice or a cocktail. And he'll shout, "Happy hour!" And then everyone will come and have a few glasses of rum and coke or rum and ginger or whatever it is that they've made. And we'll just do this every evening, have a couple of free cocktails.
Happy hour!
Yes, yes.
Salud! Salud!
Yummy!
On fire!
What about the singer? And
Gabi is the playback.
Hi. Day 5 was going to be our last full day at sea, and with the glorious weather once more, we couldn't wait to explore this incredible part of the world. After visiting some local fishing villages and snorkeling in some of the most incredible reefs, we arrived late into the afternoon to our final campsite of this trip. Okay, behind us is the final night's camp. It's called the jungle camp because it's in the jungle. We had to come through a canal system here to get here. And it's more of a homestay vibe, where there's a lot of local villages here. And unfortunately we're not allowed to swim because there's crocodiles and box jellyfish all around here, and there's no beach anyway. The group and I just spent the next few hours settling into our new camp and enjoying a few beers in the pool. Dinner was going to be an extra special one because we were going to be sampling a local delicacy here in the Philippines called lechon.
Tonight dinner, it's yes, this is a big dinner tonight. Yeah, mostly we serve whole pig here, like during birthday celebration, wedding celebration. We call this one lechon in Tagalog. This pig we buy here from the neighbor, from the island. And we have rice noodles with vegetable, that's a vegetarian. We also have Filipino power, and if you want fish, we have fish.
Whoa, look at the way the skin just cracked. Like the whole body just cracked.
I won't cry. I won't cry. No, I won't.
Last night's dinner and the karaoke had gotten pretty wild, so we brushed ourselves off the next morning, ready for what was going to be our last flourish of paradise before we arrive at our final destination of Coron. I think that this last island and this campsite of Camp Nene was actually my favourite place on the entire tour. Welcome to Camp Nene. If you're coming from Coron and you're going to do this tour in the opposite direction to what I've done, if you're going to start in Coron and end in El Nido, then you'll spend a couple of nights here at this campsite. This is another one of the Tao campsites, and it has its own cove of white sand, incredible paradise, turquoise waters as usual. And I'm just starting to lose the vocabulary. I don't need to tell you how beautiful this is. I don't need to tell you how incredible this place is. And I don't need to tell you that doing the Tao expedition has been an incredible journey from start to finish. And this is our last day, and there's a little bit of a slump in the mood because we don't have long left. More yummy food and more snorkeling and more sailing led us sadly to our final destination of Coron town and the pier itself. It had been an awesome 6 days at sea, but now it's time for me to do a more detailed review of the entire experience so that you have a full understanding of exactly what it's like. Remember guys, I didn't get this for free in return for a video. I paid the full amount, $750 per person. And so I think it's time for me to give you the full experience from my perspective right now. Okie dokie. So I've finished the trip and I've spent one night here in the town of Coron. I'm staying at this place called the Hop Hostel and I highly recommend it. But what I wanted to do was finish this video by going over the whole experience and breaking down the expedition into different sections and just going over some of the pros and cons. I'm going to be very nitpicky because, you know, as you saw, the entire expedition was just incredible. But there were a few things that went wrong. And there are a few things that I want to let you know about if you are thinking about doing Tao expeditions. So firstly, the exact trip I took was the Tao expedition, 6 days, 5 nights, which if it's the low season is $700 a person or at the height is $780. I paid $750 US. So let's start with the company. They're called Tao Philippines, and my description will have the link to their website, and also there'll be a link to the exact tour that I took. And they are an amazing company, and we learned a lot about how they do positive things for the local workforce, giving them skills. The only negative was the booking process. I paid in full 1 month prior to the trip, and I didn't hear anything from them at all, to the point when the day before my trip in El Nido, I popped into the office. I found the office on Google Maps and I said, hey, what's going on? Like, the trip's tomorrow, and I haven't heard anything. And then they were like, oh, that's strange. We don't see you on the list. We'll get back to you this evening. And then they didn't get back to me that night. So I sent them a Facebook message the next day, and they said, oh, we'll call you in an hour. And then they didn't call me until 4:30 in the afternoon. And they said, oh, it's confirmed. Can you come to the pre-trip briefing? But by that point, I was somewhere else doing something else. I couldn't make the briefing. But apart from that, the company, once we got on board, took great care of us. So just a little bit of an organizational mishap. So let's talk about the boats. Obviously, the first 3 days we were on that magnificent wooden boat. And then when we did get transferred onto the second boat, it was bigger. It had more space for us to hang out, actually. They had just enough shade. They could have done with a little bit more shade, really. Like I said, I'm nitpicking, but it was quite hard to get away from the sun. And you have to balance the boat. So if the shade's on the left and everyone's on the left, then some people have to go onto the right and be in the sun. But other than that, they were incredible. Let's talk about the staff. Now, the staff are called the Lost Boys. And, the captain, the engine room man, and the boys on board, everyone works together, and they keep morale up. They're very good at keeping morale up. They're cracking jokes. They always have a smile. They answer all your questions. The food, now, believe it or not, that's the highlight for me. I mean, I know the scenery was out of this world, and the experience overall was something I'll never forget, but the food, guys, if the food on board was like the food in the rest of the Philippines, I'd say it was probably some of the best food in the world. If you are a vegetarian, they've got you covered, because about half the dishes were vegetarian. If you're vegan, you'll have to let them know ahead of time and they'll do something special for you. The accommodation, or as they call it, the camps, I thought we were going to sleep on board. So actually, when I got on board, I said, right, let's do a tour of the boat. But there was nothing really to show you, because the underbelly inside the boat is just for storing bags and food. So when we were told we were sleeping in campsites with no fan and no aircon, I was a bit like, oh God. But actually, we all slept incredibly well. In fact, I was a little bit cold every evening. Not when I went to bed, but if I woke up at 4 a.m. or at sunrise, when it was time for coffee and things, I was a little bit cold. So bring a light layer, bring a little light hoodie or some socks. The only downside was a few of the people on board were a little bit upset, because they thought that because we were on the most expensive tour that Tao offer, that we would have stayed the 2 nights at their more glamorous, more turquoise paradise, middle of nowhere island camps. Instead, we felt like the campsite that we stayed on for 2 nights would have been better if we just stayed there for 1. And the other thing to say is, we kind of wished we would have a full day. And this comes on to the next thing, activities, because the activities were great, snorkeling in the most incredible waters and hanging on the beaches and hanging out at these islands was amazing. We did think that it would have been nice to have a full day where we didn't go on board the boat, we didn't move around, and we were all just given a full day at the camp, because that would have given everybody a day away from not only being at sea, but a day away from being in a forced group situation, and give couples time to go and be couples, give people space, and give people a full day. And then that finally brings you onto the group. Now, obviously, Tao Philippines have no control over the group. They just put you all together. But from what I experienced, you're going to be looking at people who are 25 to 30 plus, professional people. You're not going to be finding the typical backpackers, the young 21-year-olds and university students, because it's just too expensive. It's not a budget trip. $700 plus is quite expensive, and definitely was something out of my budget when I was a little bit younger. Even though it was expensive, a lot of the people on board said that, they had been saving up, and it was a big deal, and it was something that they'd come all the way to the Philippines for, and I can see why now. Yeah, the group, the trip, the boat, the staff, the food, and the accommodation and activities was overall very good. Thank you, Tao Philippines, for organizing such a great trip. And if you're watching this and you're thinking about doing this, I really highly recommend it, and I'll stand by that it's the best thing I've done in the Philippines. If you're new, I've just finished or about to finish a big Philippines series, so you can go and check out my adventures in the rest of the country. I've also been to Vietnam, I've been to Laos, I've been to Cambodia, and I spent a long time in Thailand as well. And for the rest of this year, I'm doing more stuff like this. So subscribe, follow along. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your time on this tour if you're doing it in the future. Bring your sun cream and bring your sense of adventure, and be prepared to be blown away. It was magnificent. 10 out of 10.